Hello and welcome to another episode of Tudor, I Hardly Know
Tudor,
Her.
I hardly sleep her.
I am one of your hosts, and my name is Garrett. But the real host of the show is here. Her name is Emily. She's great.
Yo, dog. What is up?
And then we also have another host. His name is Jeff. He is also great.
Aw, is that what they say about me?
That's what I say.
I say it. I like the host, Jeff. And the host.
You know who's not here? That limey Brit that replaced me last week.
He's British guy, not limey Brit.
Honestly, I couldn't tell the difference. I thought they were the same person.
Yeah, it was very, very confusing for us.
I thought Garrett was just going through one of those phases where you wouldn't stop talking like a British person.
I got hit on the head with a coconut, and I just went through one of those phases.
No.
I kid. That was a good episode.
No British guy this week. But soon.
So, Emily, what are we talking about this week?
I don't know, Garrett. You're the one who requested this episode, so what are we talking about this week?
I don't remember, because that was 2 weeks ago.
We're talking about sex, baby. Let's talk about you.
It's time.
Let's talk about
It's time we sat down, Garrett, and explained to you how it all works.
So
This is the
men
real
have-
reason I asked for the episode. I never got the talk.
Okay, men have
So
an Eiffel
I'm like
Tower.
20 some years late.
Men have an Eiffel Tower, and women have a Louvre, and they put the Eiffel Tower in the Louvre.
And then they have a French Revolution.
And they give birth to a beautiful croissant.
Named Napoleon.
Does that clear it up?
Yeah, thanks. Divorced, beheaded, died, divorced, beheaded, survived, goodbye.
Okay.
But no, for serious now.
Okay, seriously, because this is a serious podcast, and we can't take it seriously.
Yeah, if you guys can't handle talking about dicks and vaginas and boobies, then get out.
Dicks.
Welcome to the Dickcast.
Every week we bring in a new guy, ask him how long his dick is, and then measure him to see how much he lied. For every inch he
And
lied
then we
about,
high
he
five,
has
but
to
don't look
drink.
each other in the eyes because that's totally gay.
Not that there's anything wrong with that. Pride.
Yeah, do whatever you want. Just don't get near me.
That's Garrett's life motto, though.
That's not
Do
even
whatever you want,
respect
just
to
don't get
guys.
near
That's like
me.
to any human being.
Yeah, do what you want. Just don't get near me.
All right, let's make shirts of that, but I want to be the only one that has them.
Okay, we can do that.
Okay.
Before we get
All
started,
right, Emily.
I want to talk about that amazing fan art we got this week because I can't stop
Oh my
showing it
God,
off
that
to
was-
people. And I know our non-fans don't give a shit, but I am amazed by Tina, Queen of Scots. It makes me so happy.
And I couldn't stop thinking about Louise as Elizabeth.
That's next.
So that was beautiful. Thank you. I love you. You make my life complete. Sorry, Jeff.
Yeah.
You fill it up. Don't.
All right. Well, let's talk about tossing salad in Tudor times.
Okay. Well, they wouldn't have done that, but okay.
You don't know that.
Well, salad wasn't brought in. I guess Catherine of Aragon brought salad in.
Was it
She
that?
made it famous.
Oh, that was the sugar salad.
Sugar salad. That was
That's
that was Elizabeth. She adopted it from her father's first wife. So whenever I tell people that what we're talking about, because like I talk about how we're whenever people are like, "What are you talking about?" I'm not gonna be like sex, but
Banging stuff.
Tudor fucking. No, I say we're talking about courtly.
Title episode.
I say we're talking about courtly love, but it always sounds like
Okay.
Courtney Love. So I'm just kind of picturing like Kurt Cobain and Courtney Love in the Tudor times. Just
All right, that's the next fan art.
being obnoxious as hell. Please don't make that. Nobody needs. Courtney Love will bring her wrath down on us. She's
Except-
an angry woman.
Oh. Except Kurt Cobain's the one that gets
And you
beheaded.
still get a beheading, which is great.
Aw.
Oh,
Jeff.
that was
Too
that was a little
soon,
much
Jeff.
for me.
Too soon. 20 years. Too soon. 25?
Yeah,
20-ish?
it's going on.
20-ish.
It's over 20 years.
Sorry, Kurt. Peace. So, friendly reminder to everyone to turn off your cell phones. Oops. Put your cell phones to vibrate mode.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Are you freaking ready for this shit?
I'm not freaking ready. I'm fucking ready
God,
because we're talking about
you
banging.
get
This is already an
fucking ready.
explicit episode, so
It
there's
is.
no reason to hold back.
Yeah, if you like listening to these shows with your kids, don't.
Oh, I know somebody who did listen to it with their kid, and their son
Ooh.
was like, "Is pissed a bad word?" Sorry about that.
We're calling CPS on you. Just kidding.
Yeah. So, anyway, on to Tudor marriage and sex, because in the Tudor times, you don't have sex unless it's within the confines of marriage. Yeah, right.
Wink.
They all banged all the time, forever and always.
Did they forget to tell Henry that?
Interesting fact. Didn't fucking count for Henry. Henry could do whatever he wanted.
I'm
You
the king.
don't
I
say.
can do what I want.
I do what I want. Not to worry. I have a pass.
I have a permit here.
I do what I want. Okay, so what do you guys think you know about marriage and sex in that time period?
It was to make an heir, and because there was nothing else to do back then.
They couldn't just pull out their cell phones and play Candy Crush. Ye olde Candy Crush.
They crushed that candy.
From what I think the case is, a lot of marriages were like prearranged or like people were mostly set
All
up.
political setups
together.
and to strengthen their allies.
For the upper and middle class, that is true. Yes.
And then peasants got married because there was like they just breed everywhere like rabbits.
Actually, it's amazing that they were able to breed as much as they did. So, okay.
They just can't stop bumping uglies. Literally uglies because they're peasants.
So they're ugly, super uglies. They're peasant uglies. Full of, I don't know,
They're puglies.
scabies and hay. I don't know.
Pugly sounds like a cute like toy line that we're gonna start selling for the Christmas season.
Okay, get on that.
Just action figures of peasants.
Of like cute plushy peasants.
Get the Puglies today. Pre-order them, guys.
They're like those like Shopkins
Just
or
like
like
straight up
Littlest
send,
Pet Shop
send me
stuff.
$20. Pre-order.
Oh, I got shit covered farmer.
I got the town wench.
Oh, I got the
I got plague infested
I
child.
got the drunk.
He's just wearing the barrel. But let's be serious. The best one, the rarest one, is the plague-ridden peasant.
Oh man, it'd be like the Chase figure. Hot Topic exclusive.
Okay, so on to not plague-ridden peasants. So the upper and middle class definitely married for benefits. They wanted to get something out of a marriage. For the first one anyway. And since everybody fucking died when they were 20, you could have a lot of marriages. So most interestingly enough, how old do you think people were around when they got married?
16 to 18.
Jeff is closest. They were more likely to get married in their late teens to early 20s because conventional wisdom at the time was don't get married unless you can establish a household. And I'm like, that is actually pretty close to what we have today. It's just
What
we consider a
don't get married
household
to
is
the
different.
30s.
Yeah, right. Well, they'd be dead in their 30s, so they had less time to establish that household. But it was pretty much just like, hey, when you can support a family, when you can maintain a family, then you can get married. So they were very rarely sending
That's actually kind of
12-year-olds.
fascinating that that's how they do it because I would have thought like just get married as soon as you can get kids.
Yeah, basically. I think that's what people think traditionally is that as soon as the kids can reproduce, just send them into the world. No, that was actually pretty rare. But a lot of the upper and middle class married for benefits. And the parents always mostly had a say in the potential spouses because they wanted the benefits too and they wanted to set their kids up and blah, blah, blah. So there were people who did marry for love, and I found on the article I was reading about it that one parent found out his daughter had gotten married without his permission, and he screamed at her, "Void harlot, out of my sight." So I think that's going to be my new insult.
Damn, Dad.
Void harlot, out of my sight.
And you thought your parents didn't approve of your high school boyfriend.
No, they hated mine. I mean, no. They hated mine. But, yeah, he screamed, void harlot, out of my sight. However, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, they would sometimes marry without permission, and then you get into spats with mom and dad. But sometimes nothing could be done about it. Because I think I told you guys before that what they do is they just exchange vows or promise to marry each other in front of witnesses, and it's pretty much set. So when you were a royal, your marriages were arranged really early. So Arthur was betrothed to Catherine of Aragon when she was 3 and he was 2. So, yeah. Imagine that fun. Growing up and being like, my betrothed lives across the ocean. I don't know what the fucking ocean is, but she's there. Do you like my child's voice?
I give it a 6 out of 10.
I give it a perfect 5 out of 7.
Nice.
So to get married, this is what you did. You both needed to express consent that you were going to get married. And witnesses were helpful, although not technically necessary. It was more just to prove it happened, because sometimes a guy would go up to a girl and be like, hey, baby, I love you so much. Let's get married. And she'd be like, okay, we're basically married now. And then they'd have sex. And he's like, haha, JK, there were no witnesses. And then she'd be stuck, pregnant, and he'd be off meandering. However, sometimes...
So not much has changed.
Yeah, right. Except she would think... I mean, the only reason their marriage would have been void is because they didn't have people to prove that it had happened. Otherwise, he would have been married. He's technically pre-contracted. But, like, there's nobody to prove it, so... What are you going to do? The man, during the courtship, would give the woman gifts, and it would... It would consist of rings, coins, trinkets, or clothing. And I just love the idea of a man getting on his knees and presenting his fiance, his soon-to-be fiance, with like an engagement vest and being like, will you marry me?
I do. And
I
tries
got
to like
you-
get on right.
I got you some pantaloons.
Honey, I bought you a pair of tube socks as a token of my love.
I present you with a sock. Now you are free.
Tommy's
Wait,
free.
that's not how that works.
And he's like, also cover up your nasty ass feet because they're gross.
I love you except for your gross feet. Take these socks.
I present you with this paper bag over
then-
your head.
And then they pass it down to their children. They're like, this is the tube sock that I got engaged with. So that's also in our merchandise line, engagement tube socks.
Treat her like a princess today with the tube sock.
I like that. So they would technically be married, but then they'd have to go through the church ceremony just to kind of complete it. What the fuck did I write? Required to complete the... I think I wrote ceremony, but it looks like ceremonially or ceremonially. So, yay me.
Who's that?
But because she's a bitch. That's Sarah Munley. Fuck her. But because some of the women would technically be married before they went through the ceremony, a third of Elizabethan brides were knocked up when they were at the altar. So, I mean, that probably had a lot to do with the fact that they were banging away, but doesn't really matter. So the priest would do the whole thing where he's like, does anybody have a reason to object? And there was not usually a Patrick Swayze bursting in and being like, I love this woman. It was usually like, oh, BT Dubs, she's actually pre-contracted to marry someone else. So she can't get married. But another reason to object would be is if their degree of affinity was too close, which means they were too closely related.
I was just about to say, like, they're brother and sister, but back then, who cares?
No, apparently the prohibited the degrees of affinity thing, that wasn't really a a regular way of objecting to a wedding. Only Henry VIII really did that. And he's like, I'm married my sister. This is weird.
It's only fine if it's beneficial to you.
And then during the ceremony, you have a thing called the full form of Trothplight, which sounds like a fucking Lord of the Rings character. I am Trothplight. We're going to slay the dragon. But those were just the vows. I don't understand why we don't call it Trothplight anymore.
Thing is, I thought you were saying like a trough, like
no troth,
like a big-
Troth.
Okay.
Trothplight. So I think we should bring that back. So if we're ever going to weddings, be like, are you guys writing your own Trothplights?
I think it'll catch on.
I do too. Judy's getting married soon. I'm gonna ask her about her Trothplights.
That sounds very personal. You word it that way.
So Judy, tell me about your Trothplights.
Oh, they're a little itchy.
Jeff and I wanted to write our own Trothplights. Garrett, do you want your own Trothplights written? I just really like.
Sure,
I just
why
really
not?
like this word.
It's a little too much for me. Sounds a lot like troglodyte, and I don't like it.
I am the troglodyte Trothplight. I will marry you. So then after that, they do they'd have the wedding dinner and dancing. Sometimes the villagers would pay for it if they weren't from a wealthier family where the parents were like, here's your awesome shit.
Oh, I thought you were saying like the villagers paid for the royalty weddings.
Not the royal weddings. I mean, Henry could tax the shit out of them and get the money that way, but he was kind of an idiot when it came to finances. So
I mean, lucky for him, he could just reuse the same stuff from previous weddings.
yeah, he's like, hey, could you get the wedding shit out of that closet
He's already
again?
scratching
God
out
damn it, Henry.
He was already scratching off the initials and just replacing them with another one.
Oh, did I tell you guys I found out that Jane Seymour's initials were actually carved in places, and he gave up after Jane. So he did Catherine, Anne, and Jane.
He's like, I know how this one's gonna go.
Yeah.
Well,
he
then
was
we start going to
I'll
the other
just- I'll wait.
Catherines. You could just pulled out the old ones.
I reused it. I'm a recycler.
All right, time to put my initials, honey. Can you just put Catherine? Why? No.
We're legally changing your name to Catherine because that just makes it easier.
So
He definitely had a type.
then after the couple danced and there was a party, it sounds like pretty normal for what weddings today are, except
Bump it.
we don't have our friends watching us consummate the marriage. And that's a thing.
You guys should have asked. I would have done that.
Today we have one-way
Garrett,
meters.
Garrett, we're not sure if we actually consummated the marriage. We need you to watch us do that. Ew.
Will do.
You're a good pal.
Oh man, like with the golf commentary.
Oh, he's going for the par.
The Catherine Parr.
An excellent shot by Jeff.
Garrett, you have a soothing golf voice.
Why, thank you.
Well,
I hate golf, though.
you've
So
got-
do the announcers,
you've
so it's
got a good
okay.
radio voice. Hey guys, Garrett's on the radio. In case you didn't know that.
Maybe more than normal coming in the future. Who knows?
Woohoo!
Yay.
Garrett's awesome. So they
try.
wouldn't necessarily watch them bang, but they definitely took them to bed.
They
and
definitely
laid them
listened closely to the door.
I mean, they laid them in bed.
Okay, we're leaving, and then they do that fake footstep thing where they walk in place. And they put their ears to the door and crack and like look through the little
They
keyhole.
invented
and
the glass so that they could put it up against the door.
And that's how the voyeurism fetish was born.
Instead of filming back then, they had an artist in the corner painting them as they went.
Oh God. Ye olde porn.
Ye old Pornhub.
What's old Pornhub look like? Like, how do you?
Fair maiden gets courted heartily by strapping young lad.
Is it just like a tavern? And it says the old Pornhub, and they can like go through and look at paintings and be like, I want that one.
Yes.
And then they're just taken up
Okay,
to the
okay.
room where it's going on.
This is a sketch if I ever heard one. This is a good one.
God, we are uncouth to say the least.
That would be a good movie. Like it's comedy. Of course, it's a comedy. The first pornographers.
Isn't that a band?
Oh man, that is a good band name. Nobody steal that. That's
Here,
mine.
Write it
I don't
down.
play any
actually think
instruments,
the
but that's my
I think
band.
there's a band called the Violent Pornographers.
There's a song called Violent Pornography.
That's by System of a Down, but I'm pretty sure that there's a band called Violent Pornographers.
I don't think it's violent. I think it's silent.
Why are they silent? Band
I don't know.
pornography.
Continue on with the lesson. I'm going to
I'm
look that
looking
up.
it up.
No,
I
I am
just googled the words band porn. The new pornographers.
Yes.
new pornographers.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry, new pornographers. God, this is a really raunchy episode. So, on to the first pornographers. Okay, so according to that time period, God made marriage for 3 reasons. First was procreation. Second was the avoidance of fornication. Because fornication, I guess, with that word, is technically sex outside of marriage. So if you're trapped in a marriage, then you can't have sex outside of a marriage.
So
blah,
like
blah, blah.
lusting.
Yeah. And then the third was mutual society help and comfort. So basically companionship, which
Boredom.
is pretty good. But I was bored, didn't know what to do. The women were super important in the households, but the men were technically the head of the households, but it was super, super, super important that the men loved everybody was like, you gotta love your wife. Women apparently weren't told that much. They were just told obey your husband, which was part of her troth plights.
Lean back and think of England.
I think that phrase came around in Victorian England, but I will find out. So apparently just wanting to bang your spouse is not good for a strong marriage. So don't marry for lust, which is actually still accurate. Please don't go to Vegas and marry just because you want to hook up. Like, love your fucking spouse. Marry someone who's your best friend. Today's relationship.
Bang somebody who doesn't want to get married.
What?
Bang somebody who doesn't want to get married.
Like, just when you get married, just find someone who you're friends with. Be friends with your partner. Don't care who your partner is, just be friends with them. Okay? Okay. Thanks. That was Relationship Corner with Emily. So apparently in those days, the best marriages were between couples of comparable wealth, age, and status. So there were no Cinderella stories. That's why Anne Boleyn's thing was a huge deal, because she was a commoner. She had no noble blood. So
That's the ending to Cinderella they didn't show you.
Cinderella gets beheaded. Good wife's important. Okay, now we get to talk about the fun stuff. Let's talk about sex.
Yeah.
Sodomy.
No.
Wait, what?
So, interestingly enough, the church played a major role in sex in those days. They would send in a bishop, and he'd be like, continue. No, I'm just kidding. But
You're doing a good job.
Bravo. Oh, you should shift a little bit.
Look, I don't get any myself. I got to get it out somehow.
So the church played.
I don't want to participate. I just want to watch.
So the church did play a major role in sex. According to the church, women's bodies ran hot, and therefore they always wanted to make sex. You got it. So,
Like radiator women.
yes,
Yay.
I was making out with Radiator Woman from Radiator Planet. Fry, that's just a radiator. Does anybody know where the burn unit is? So women's bodies ran hot, and they were always wanting to bang. And so the church was like, just get married, and that's the only way you can control your insatiable wife. Maybe it really was yield Pornhub back then.
All throughout history, they really put it on they put the onus on the woman. They're like, oh, it's her fault.
Thank you, Adam and Eve. So sex was, as I said, only for reproduction. You do not bang for any other reason. And you could only bang in missionary. There was no experimentation. They used that word.
Boring.
They said that it was missionary was the best for conceiving a male, and all other ways of banging, of penis into vajay, that would lead to a deformed child.
That actually does
Because
finally
the devil
explain.
stepped in.
Hold on. I want to imagine that doggy style was forbidden because they thought that you'd give birth to a dog.
I'll say that does explain the missionary term now, why they probably call it that. Because it always sounds way more like This is the correct, safe way to have sex and produce.
They called it the church. The church. I don't know. My joke is bad. I feel bad.
The Pope Popper.
So, you said that earlier, Jeff, that they were just like popping out babies. It's fucking crazy that they were able to continue their existence because they were not allowed to have sex during Lent, Advent, feast days, fast days, Easter week, Sundays, Wednesdays, or Saturdays.
Why not Wednesdays?
We all gotta have cheat days.
Fuck if I know. Why are you concerned about Wednesdays and not Saturdays? That's probably everybody's let loose day.
Hump day.
It is hump day. Hump day. You were also not allowed to have sex when you're pregnant, menstruating, 40 days after you give birth, or when you're breastfeeding.
God, no wonder they banged they wanted to bang. Just because they could never do it. It's like all that pent up.
Right.
Like I gotta do something.
I just gotta bang.
Little do the people know they were doing them a favor.
But apparently, like, nobody really paid attention to it. They were just like, I'm really horny. I gotta get laid. Bonus for women. They were taught that both a man's and a woman's seed is needed to make a baby. Therefore, women needed to orgasm in order to create a child. What? I mean, you're laughing, but I wish that was the standard education. I wish, because then like every time, yeah.
We need to bring that back. One for the ladies.
Yeah, but then I wonder if they tried to use non-orgasm as a birth control method. If they were like, if you just don't come, then can't have a baby. I can bang you all I want. Speaking of birth control,
You can't have sex if you don't enjoy it. You can't get pregnant.
do you guys want to hear? Do you guys want to hear how they used birth control?
Pull out.
That was a
Sure.
method, actually.
They didn't. The only thing I could think of is improvised condoms or Catholic
The
roulette.
cod piece.
They did use improvised condoms. They were made of lamb guts. So,
I've heard of that one.
they also used herbs and oils, honeysuckle juices, and these are the most disturbing ones. Women would shove up. What's the form of birth control where you shove something up your vagina?
Why are you asking me?
I don't know.
So, a diaphragm?
Thank you. So they.
Thanks.
Good job, Garrett. I'm
Garrett?
Catholic. I wasn't
Yeah.
taught that. So they created diaphragms from beeswax, wool-soaked vinegar, or this one upsets me so much. They just shove pepper up there. Yeah,
It just sneezes.
Like
pepper. Fucking burns. You know what that does? It makes you not want to have sex because your vagina's on fire.
ow, 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 ow,
Yeah.
ow.
okay, yeah, I'm pregnant now. Okay, good. We can stop.
If you were caught having sex outside of a marriage, you were probably stripped and flogged in public. But some people would be excommunicated. Like that's a big difference. Like public humiliation and some pain versus eternal damnation.
And if you're into that, then that's a win-win.
And that's how BDSM was invented.
Shame. Oh, say it again.
Shame.
Oh.
Shame.
Oh.
In case you didn't know, this episode is very not safe for work.
I mean, it's safe for work. Please don't. I hope
Just
you're
wear
listening with your
headphones.
headphones in.
No, I like to imagine people have like office parties where, like on their lunch breaks, they get together.
And listen to Tudor. I hardly know her.
The only one.
So, okay. Occasionally, people would get married as young as 12 or 14. But, so 12 was the age for women and 14 was the age for men. Boys and girls, I should say. But they would delay sex just because, like, it's...
Thank God.
Yes. So, you might wait until your late teens or early 20s to consummate a marriage. And that's what happened to Jane Seymour when she got married. Actually, she was like 15 or so when she got married, so she probably could have had sex with her husband, but they all were like, don't do it. You're good. We're fine. So The church back then was really interesting because they were like, don't have sex outside of marriage, but when you're in a marriage, bang a lot. Because they thought that abstinence in marriage was unhealthy, and they actually frowned upon it. So,
But you can't have sex on any of these special days, but when you can, do it.
if you're not banging, eternal damnation. Damned if you do, damned if you don't. So that's why it was totally cool for men to take mistresses when their wives were pregnant. It was because it was supposed to be unhealthy for them to not, like, I guess they couldn't masturbate. That was a sin.
I was just about to ask that question, actually, because I was thinking about that. But yeah, with
You're
them,
wasting
they're super
precious
religious.
seed. So like that's why when Henry's wives were pregnant, he was just like, I'm gonna go bang this chick. She's there. I'm gonna have fun. Okay, so that's it about sex. But then there was something.
That's it.
What?
That's
Yeah,
it.
What
it
else
was-
they really do? I mean, they're only allowed to do one position, and they
Yeah.
always just had to have it, or they were never allowed to have it.
I mean, I have a little bit more about love in that time period. But like, you can bang.
It'd be interesting to read like a prostitute's journal from the time. See what she had
Could
to
they
say
write?
about things.
Probably not. Let's see if any of them kept a video diary.
It's a picture book.
Hey guys, welcome to my vlog.
I just served the grodiest man, but like I gave him scabies, so fuck that guy.
Winky face.
Heart emoticon, LOL.
Eggplant spittle emoji.
Oh, is that going to be in Ye Olde Pornhub, the movie that we do?
Yes.
I'm excited for that. Okay, so in that time period, there was something called courtly love.
This girl's dirty, literally. She hasn't bathed in weeks.
Keep going.
No.
Okay, fuck you.
That's the tagline.
I do have a question about sex and stuff, or unless you want me to wait till
No,
the
you
end.
can go ahead.
Okay, because I always get the image in my head that brothels were like a huge thing back in the day, or prostitutes at least.
Yeah.
Were they kind of accepted back in the day?
No. I think we talked about this. Some
No.
were shut down during Edward's reign, and even during Henry's
Okay.
reign.
See, I figured they wouldn't be around because of how he's talked about how religious they are.
They were around. I mean, okay. So here's the thing about
'Cause I
the thing about religion. It dictated your life, but it also, the way religion was back then, it kind of gave you an out for being a giant monster, because you could be basically forgiven for almost anything. And so they lived strictly religious lives in that they observed special holidays and masses and all that stuff. But they were also like gambling and whoring around, and because they could get forgiveness because they were devoutly religious.
Whores and
Does
gambling,
that-
that's the Tudors.
That's this episode's name. So yeah, brothels existed. They were frequented by many.
Would they intermix like the upper middle class, or were there like separate ones for like lower and upper?
I don't know. Probably just one hooker for all.
It's like, hey man, everyone's free to fuck here.
Free to fuck. Free to fuck.
She's like the neighborhood horse.
Oh,
Everyone's had a
shit.
ride.
Although there were, I think we've done this before, and I think I found this exact article where we've asked about prostitutes. Yes.
In that case, I
now
must
I'm
ask
really
about
upset
prostitutes
because
a lot.
I just Googled Tudor prostitute, and the second picture is an image from the Tudors TV show of Anne Boleyn. That's
Aw.
sad.
Aw.
Sick bird.
Okay, yeah, they existed, but I doubt there was like a lower class hooker and an upper class hooker. They're all just hookers. They all slept for money. I probably shouldn't use that phrase. Sex worker.
Streetwalker.
No, I think it's just sex worker. So, anyway, any other questions about sex?
No, I think we
Do you
got it.
understand how the
I got
birds
it.
and bees works?
Now I do.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to go in a little bit more about courtly love. And okay, so people in that time period had a renewed interest in like the King Arthur stuff and like the whole idea of like maidens and knights and rescues and love and all that stuff. So it worked its way into the court and it was like a game. It was the game of love. And if you were a woman in the royal court, you had to understand. I mean, if you were in the court at all, you had to understand how this game worked because it was very rigid almost. So in courtly love, there was a ton of flirtation, and it didn't matter if you were married or not. And like, if you were married, it's totally cool to do this because like it's what you do at court. It's almost as important as manners. So, the gentleman would be the quote-unquote knight, and he would woo the lady with poems and songs and gifts, and he would wear her favors at jousting tournaments. So, like, he'd take her handkerchief or what the fuck ever. And the knight was always looking for would be looking for, like, a platonic friendship. So, the whole point was, like, you get to play act it being in the first stages of relationships, which is fun. I mean, I think we can all acknowledge that. Unless you're in a toxic as fuck relationship, in which case break the fuck up with them. The first couple of months and weeks are fun. So it's like just extending that or creating that. Because most people in the court had arranged marriages. So there are actually steps. I was reading a Wikipedia article and it actually laid out the steps for courtly love.
They're like, is it like here's the book of love?
No, it's
follow these 5 easy steps to
by
get
the
your
love guru.
1, get a box. 2,
Cut a hole
in the box.
Okay, so the first thing they would do was they would be attracted to the lady, and they'd convey this with a glance.
Ladies.
They would then worship the lady from afar.
Damn, girl.
So creeping?
Straight creeping. Then there would be a
Hey, girl.
declaration of passionate devotion.
Damn, the back of your head looks ridiculous.
Then the lady would virtuously reject the suitor.
Fuck off. Oh, no.
I like Garrett's. That's more virtuous than fuck off. Then there would be renewed. I like this where Jeff's the knight and Garrett's the lady. So let's keep this going.
Okay.
Then there would be renewed wooing with oaths of virtue and eternal fealty to the lady. Fealties where you're just like, you have my heart, soul, and everything.
Oh, your eyes. They sparkle from the stars that came from the sky and fell into your eyeball.
Oh, really?
Then, this is going to be my favorite, there would be moans of approaching death from unsatisfied desire. It'd be from unsatisfied desire. Then there would be heroic deeds of valor to win the lady's heart.
I slayed a small animal for you.
Oh, my hero.
Slaying small animals is a sign of a serial killer, so...
We don't know that yet. There was nothing documented back then.
Then there would be...
Father, I know he's a sociopath, but...
I was really into that Jeffrey Dahmer. I always like that style. Then there would be the consummation of the secret love. It sounds like Garrett just made a baby. And then...
I am now internet pregnant.
And finally, there would be endless adventures and subterfuges to avoid detection.
Yippee!
Fucking Mario just busted.
Woohoo! Woohoo!
That sounds about right. So
And that's what it sounds like when Mario does it.
that is that's what it is.
And that's the rest of
That's
the tale.
the episode, and good night.
And that's how people fucks.
Actually, that's how Anne Boleyn got into trouble. She was like flirtatiously bantering, which was expected of her, with Henry Norris, and she took it a little too far. But like, if she hadn't already been in a little bit of trouble, everybody would have been like, "Oh, that silly queen."
If she had just used one less unsatisfied moan, she would have been okay.
No, that's what got her accused of adultery, was that courtly love talk. But like, it was expected. Everybody did it. So
Just like, I don't think she killed Kurt Cobain, but
so that's that. That was a short one.
but a very informative and action-packed thrill ride. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said action. Action-packed thrill
There
ride.
you go. Sexy.
Ooh, girl.
So yeah.
Let me get some of that courtly love.
Do you have any other questions?
Uh-huh.
So,
Do you think they had... No, probably not.
What?
I was going to say toys. Devices.
the old vibrator.
Ye old strap on.
When was the Marquis de Sade?
What?
When was the Marquis de Sade around?
I don't know what you're talking about.
The hold on, let me look this up. He was around in the 1700s, so never mind.
Okay.
He was all about sex and sexuality and
He probably
and stuff. So yeah,
invented
cut all that stuff out
the dildo.
because it's not relevant. Okay.
Okay. I doubt they
Do you think
got
people
that
jerked it back then?
adventurous. I'm betting. I mean, like, missionary was what you were supposed to do, but people are people and people want to bang, so there was probably some creativity going on. But I think they called those French tricks.
I don't think the peasantry played around with oral much.
Actually, I think oral was referred to as a French trick. I heard
That was
somewhere.
some
I heard
crazy
somewhere
French.
that when Henry slept with Mary Boleyn and sister,
I've heard that too. Yeah. Somewhere.
I think we were watching Tudors.
Maybe.
We might have. I don't know.
Who knows?
So then, as we were talking about with all the nobles, they get married a lot for like political needs,
Their
and,
first-
and the royals are already predetermined.
The first marriages, yeah, but like, if
Would there
you
have been
were-
actually very many that were like? Were there really many that got married because they actually did like love? someone?
Second marriages might have happened for love. Like in a second marriage, you were more able to choose for yourself. And just because there were arranged marriages doesn't mean they weren't loving
Oh
marriages.
no, sure. Like,
But
as we saw with Henry, he really did love Catherine in the
Yeah.
early years.
well, no, his wasn't an arranged marriage with Catherine. He chose
Right.
her.
I forgot that.
But
How did
in second marriages, they
was
could choose.
her
They
and
could generally choose their own.
Arthur at all like?
They knew each other for like 6 months before he croaked.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I don't know. We don't. That's part of the whole, like, did they bang or did they not bang?
Okay.
So, so if you were a royal, you needed royal permission to marry. However, if you were just of the upper or middle class, and you got married, and then your husband or wife, usually husband, if your husband died, you could generally choose your second spouse. Now, depending on who you are, you might choose somebody who's also wealthy. But like, here's an example: Jacquetta of Luxembourg, she was Henry VII's great grandmother. So she had been married to a nobleman, and then when he died, she secretly married her groom. And that was like a big scandal because he was way below her status, but she loved him. They had a very loving relationship. So Garrett's just beating one out.
He's rubbing one off to the ye old Pornhub.
God, we are fucking vulgar tonight.
When we were going to talk about this, it was going to be
Yeah,
expected.
that's true.
I
Yeah,
can't-
like what?
I
do you
can't
think
believe
is gonna
someone's
happen,
clicking
you
on this going,
guys?
oh my God, what are they talking about?
I am shocked to the core. It's just an old British.
You see that little red E next to the title?
Yeah, this one's going to be a really dark, large.
It's not dark.
E.
It's just. Oh yeah. So, yeah,
I think we've had darker episodes.
we have. And then back to the talk about marrying for love. People did it. It happened.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it worked
You might have
out.
pissed your parents
sometimes
off,
it
but-
didn't. But more often than not, a first marriage was probably arranged for you, unless you were one of the shit-stained peasants. So, anything else?
No, I think that's all I could think of.
So, you know how we talked about doing the Q&A episode?
yeah.
Well, we have gotten a couple of Qs that I'm ready to give some A's.
Ooh.
So
Some Q&A in this episode about TNA.
here's what I'm... Oh, I forgot to pin that to the top. Here's what I'm thinking. We'll give it another week, and I'll post that Q&A thing again to see if we get more questions. And if we do, we can do a whole episode where we answer questions. So, guys, give us your questions. Like, seriously, I get people asking me for clarification on things all the time. So, put this in it, and I can answer your questions on the podcast. We'll give it another week. Otherwise, I'll just answer some of the questions at the end of every episode. Does that sound good?
Yeah.
I like that. Like a little end of episode segment if we don't
Yeah.
get too many at once.
Yeah, but I would really like to have a Q&A.
It'd be fun to have a whole episode about it.
Yeah. So, cool. Are we all happy?
Yes. So let's do some housekeeping.
What's the housekeeping we're doing?
Where do they find us?
Oh,
The pimping ourselves out.
okay. Find us on Facebook at Tudor I Hardly Know Her. That's where we're going to post the status for the Q&As.
But if you also want to tweet it to us as well,
I
any
mean,
questions?
Yeah, you can. We'll still answer them. And you can find us on Twitter at Tudor Know Her. Just follow us on those. We talk about fun Tudor shit, and I send out book recommendations and all that kind of fun stuff. So follow us. Enjoy. Look at the beautiful fan art done of Tina, Queen of Scots. Add your own. Make me happy.
And also, please, and this is a big one, rate us on iTunes.
Yes.
The more you rate us on iTunes, the more exposure that we get on iTunes,
We'll
which
show up
is
better.
super cool and super helpful.
And it gives you guys more people to talk to about the Tudors on our Facebook page if more people are listening to us. Who doesn't?
And you don't even have to write like a paragraph or anything. Just give us
Yeah.
those numbers or give us
Yeah.
those stars.
We like the stars. So, that's it.
Until next time.
Divorced.
Divorced, beheaded, died.
Divorced, beheaded, survived.
Divorced, beheaded, survived.
Bye.
Goodbye. Goodbye.
Peace out, Cubs, go.